Crawford is a great fighter as well. I think that the size difference is going to be too much for Crawford. It just seems that Canelo has speed and his power at that weight, so it's going to be hard for Crawford to do anything.
Shane Mosley weighed in on the blockbuster clash between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, calling it a battle of power against skill. He pointed to Canelo's size and strength as a major factor, but admitted Crawford's talent could spark a stunning upset. To begin with, Claressa Shields isn't holding back on Shane Mosley's prediction about a potential Canelo versus Crawford fight. She's completely dismissing his forecast that Crawford would get washed, calling his opinion baseless. Shields then shifts her focus to a potential opponent, throwing down a fiery challenge, daring them to come get your ass whooped for a cool $15 million.
Shane Mosley. Sure. He just said that Terence Crawford was going to get washed by Canelo. I don't think his word is really worth that much.
Do you think she need a year?
No, she needs till January, February. That's the timeline. She needs 6 to 8 months. She said out of her own mouth that she's in shape. She can come back. She told me that I'm too small for her. I'm not skilled enough for her. She punched too hard. And if she comes to get me, I won't be able to keep her off me. So stand on that, take this $15 million, and come get your ass whooped.
Building on that, Simon Jordan's decision to select Terence Crawford to defeat Canelo Alvarez is audacious. Many believe that Canelo has an advantage because of his size, but Jordan brings out Canelo's previous difficulties as he gained weight. Crawford, he contends, may be Canelo's kryptonite due to his special abilities and self-assurance.
Crawford, and so did Spence. I mean, other people that we've spoken to, I think Paul Smith and other people that sit on the show with us think it will be Canelo Alvarez because of size. We've seen Canelo Alvarez take that journey up to light heavy and find himself coming up against Dimitri Bivol and not being able to do what he does at super middleweight. I just think that Crawford is such a fighter of such stature and competence that he might just be the kryptonite to Saul Alvarez.
In response to the growing controversy, Stephen A. Smith isn't holding back in choosing between Canelo and Crawford, firmly backing Terence Crawford to prevail by decision because Crawford's quickness, keen boxing intellect, and versatility will be too much for Canelo to handle. He is sticking to his forecast that Crawford will prevail by decision. Although Smith admires Canelo's strength and ring acumen, he believes that the champion's propensity to overpower every shot will be his downfall against a fighter as cunning as
Crawford.
Boxing.
Yes,
Who gonna win the fight, man? That's coming up, the biggest
Crawford.
fight in boxing.
Crawford.
Huh?
Crawford. I'm not hesitating. Crawford. I'm not even hesitating. Crawford.
You gonna stand on that all the way to September 13th?
I love Canelo. Crawford will beat Canelo. Crawford will beat Canelo by decision. I can't see anybody knocking out Canelo Alvarez. But I do believe that if you can box and you can move, that you can beat Canelo. You can outpoint him.
That's right.
When I think about Canelo, one of the things that I don't like about Canelo, despite his greatness, and a neck as wide as Broadway for crying out loud,
Right.
It's like almost every shot has to be a power shot.
It's a power shot, yeah.
That's not beating Crawford. I will confess, I think Gervonta Davis's trainer, Cal, I think he said this. Crawford could find himself in trouble if he decides to engage with Canelo, because Canelo is the naturally bigger, stronger fighter. And I don't care that Crawford's gotten bigger, and I don't care that Crawford's gonna go in there just as big as Canelo. Canelo is accustomed to fighting at the weight, and Crawford is not. And Canelo is a genius in this regard. You don't see him show up for fights not ready. He's always ready.
always prepared.
He's always ready. He's
give him
always
that.
prepared. So I think he's the slower fighter, though. And I think that Crawford is brilliant as a boxer. And I think that between switching to conventional and southpaw, using his jab and movement, I think that Crawford is going to outpoint Canelo because he's faster.
Meanwhile, boxers like Jaron Boots Ennis spar with Canelo Alvarez, but Terence Crawford doesn't mind. According to Crawford, it is an indication of respect that Canelo is not underestimating him and is taking their battle seriously. He is genuinely happy that Canelo is receiving as much assistance as possible, since, as he states, no excuses will be accepted after September 13th.
What is there to talk about? You fighting the best fighter in the world. You better be taking it serious. You know, that goes to show, you know, how serious he's taking me and how much he respects me. Because, you know, if I haven't fought anyone, if I was too small, if I was, you know, all these things that all the media said I was, then, he wouldn't need these guys to help prepare him to fight me. He wouldn't, need all the help that, he's getting. But I'm happy that he's getting the help that he needs because, after September 13th, there'll be no excuses.
Adding to the intensity, Teddy Atlas is weighing in on Canelo's training strategy, comparing the veteran boxer to a car with a lot of miles. While he respects the trainer's decisions, Atlas is questioning the wisdom of having wars in the gym for a fighter who's already been in over 60 professional bouts. He's concerned that an older fighter like Canelo needs to save his energy, not burn it, especially with what could be the biggest fight of his career right around the corner.
Obviously, Canelo's trainer been with him a long time. He's a hell of a trainer. Obviously, they know why they're doing it. They know what the heck they're doing. I'm not debating that. I'm not disputing. For me, everyone has their own, thoughts in anything they do. And in this specific business, that's my thought. I don't think that I would want too many highly, put it this way, I'll get right to the point. I wouldn't want wars with my guy who's been in 65 fights or 60 whatever, and is at that 34 years old and getting ready for maybe, well, he's been in a lot of big fights, but right now it's the biggest fight of his career. He's getting ready for this fight. I don't want to. If I have an older car that's got a lot of miles on the odometer, put it this way, I don't want to be taking it on the Autobahn. I don't want to take it for long drives at a high speed because it's an older car. I want to save it.
Moving on, the size disparity is the main topic of current boxing Shane Mosley's commentary on the eagerly awaited bout between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. Mosley thinks that Canelo's size and considerable strength will play a big role and might be too much for Crawford to manage. He does, however, also recognize Crawford's exceptional talent and ring acumen, raising the prospect that an upset could result from Crawford's superior technique. It's a traditional power versus skill match.
For coming up very soon, who do you got for that one? How do you see it going?
It's going to be a great fight in the beginning because Crawford is a great fighter as well. I think that the size difference is going to be too much for Crawford. And I think that once they start mingling and battling, I think that Canelo might be able to get Crawford. But anything can happen. I mean, Crawford can catch him on chin too. I mean, it's not like it's a for sure thing. It just seems that Canelo has speed and his power at that weight, so it's gonna be hard for Crawford to do anything.
At the same time, analysis of the eagerly awaited Canelo versus Crawford fight by Tom Loeffler offers his thoughts on a dream fight for the ages. He offers his opinion on who is superior by delving into the combatants' ring IQs, physical prowess, and professional stage experience. Explaining why the fight is so interesting, Loeffler highlights Crawford's amazing quickness and boxing abilities as well as Canelo's skill at counterpunching. He pays a small deference to Canelo's prior expertise on the biggest stages, but he's not shocked if either boxer wins.
Can't take anything away from Canelo, and Crawford has one of the best boxing IQs in the ring. So it's a great matchup. It's one of those fantasy matchups that people always talk about, and they were able to make it happen for this show here, and I'm really looking forward to this fight.
Now you spoke about Crawford's high IQ. Who is the more intelligent fighter in your opinion? You faced Canelo, you've been across the ring from him. Who's more intelligent, you think?
I don't want to take anything away from Canelo because Crawford has a really high ring IQ, but so does Canelo's more of a counterpuncher. He sets traps. Crawford, I have to give, with his boxing ability, his hand speed, his foot speed. Canelo physically, I would say, is a little bit stronger. He can kind of impose his will on it. It's such a great matchup. I wouldn't be surprised if either one were to win the fight. I think Canelo's been on this big stage before. I think people kind of dismiss him a little bit with that last performance that he had over there in Riyadh. But when you have an opponent like John Skull who's not going to engage, it's really hard to look good against someone like that. So I would give the edge to Canelo because he's been in that position before.
Expanding on his earlier remarks, Tom delves deeply into the strategic aspects of the match, getting into the specifics of the possible Canelo versus Crawford bout. He explains how Canelo's brutal body shots and Crawford's capacity to put on weight might be the decisive elements. Loeffler calls Canelo's body punches his most underappreciated weapon and explains what makes them so deadly. The renowned manager and promoter offers his concluding remarks on why Crawford might not be able to handle Canelo's physicality.
Around at that weight, probably only has to drop a couple pounds, but you know, he's the type of guy that can easily put on the muscle and the mass and use his hand speed, his foot speed to box. So I just think that if Canelo's able to impose his will and throw the body shots and throw some counter punches, I could see him, you know, edging out a win on that night.
Definitely. And, you know, what's Canelo's most underrated weapon Crawford has to watch out for?
I really think his body punches. You know, he's got some great, either a counter punch to the head or he's got some great left hooks to the body that really are effective. So he can easily wear you down. You know, so that I think that's what Crawford has to look out for is those tricky body shots that Canelo throws.
Following that, Mickey Garcia begins by praising Crawford for earning what will be the largest salary of his career. Garcia believes the weight gap will be too great for him to overcome, even though he admits that Crawford is the more accomplished boxer. He cites Crawford's performance at 154 pounds, claiming that the pop simply wasn't there, and ends up picking Canelo to win.
Obviously, a lot of money, bro. They make a lot of money. And good job for Crawford for fucking sticking out, because now he's going to make the most money ever.
20-30 million at
least. He's going to make more money than he's ever made. So congratulations to Crawford as well.
Big ups to Crawford.
You know?
You think it's going to be too much weight?
I think he'll box the decision, but I think Canelo's way too big and strong, and I think Canelo wins. You saw the difference already in his last fight when he fought at 154. Crawford didn't have, you know, all that.
Against Magic Mafia.
Yeah, so, and that was a 154.
Right.
They're going to move up to 168. Right?
He says he sees something.
He can box. Look, I'll tell you, skilled-wise, Crawford is the better boxer. Crawford is the better skilled, natural,
That's what he believes is.
Skilled fighter. But who's going to win?
In another deep dive, Teofimo Lopez breaks down the highly anticipated fantasy fight between Canelo and Crawford, and he's not holding back. He's got a strong take on what will decide the fight: Crawford's legs. Lopez believes he's seen a real slowdown in Crawford's footwork, which he says is a classic sign of a fighter's age catching up to them. He even brings up Manny Pacquiao as a prime example, arguing that once the legs go, a fighter's ability to dominate vanishes. For Lopez, it's clear that the age and decline will be a major factor, and he's leaning against Crawford because of it.
As long as Canelo fights somewhere in that weight class, maybe 160, see how that works out, I think that we'll get to see from there. You know, I seen him at 154, although he hasn't fought for that time span since the Spence fight. I noticed that his legs are too old. That's what I saw.
You see it? Like
yeah,
you can see like
his movement from the waist up are good. It's still on point, but his legs. And if you don't got legs in the sport, I mean, look at Manny Pacquiao, one of the best, arguably, he's a legend, man, you've ever seen, and conquered decades of eras. And when he lost his legs, we saw a lot of losses in him. So
you know more than me, but they say that obviously fighters, the first thing to go is the legs.
Yeah. I think that it has a lot to do with activity. You know, I think that's another thing. You know, and plus old age. You know, Crawford's 37, 30. I don't know what is he? Yeah, he old as Crawford. And I think that also plays a role.
Bringing the situation full circle, in his assessment of the Canelo-Crawford mega fight, Virgil Ortiz Jr. acknowledges that although he believes Canelo will prevail, a Crawford victory would make him his all-time favorite boxer, while citing the stark weight disparity as the primary factor in his decision to side with Canelo. Ortiz also acknowledges Crawford's great boxing IQ. Canelo's stature and strength will be the decisive aspect in the ring, he feels, even though he admits that Crawford might notice something no one else does.
But if he beats Canelo, he'll be like my #1 fighter of all time.
You don't think Crawford beats Canelo?
I don't think so. And look, hear me out. I respect Crawford and everything that he's doing, but he just moved up from 147 So I'm just gonna treat him as a 147-pounder. He's jumping up 3 weight classes to fight someone who was like the #1 fighter in all of boxing. You know, the jump would be hard, even if it was just like some top 10.
Right, yeah.
You know,
Bud, would you say he's a very smart fighter?
Yes.
Very calculated,
Yes.
right? Don't you think that maybe he sees something that most people aren't seeing?
I think he does, but the thing is he gonna be able to even like to capitalize on it? Because he's a smaller fighter, and look, I think people are thinking at the aspect of, can Crawford do it? Yes, I think he can do it, but can Canelo do it? He has a bigger chance of doing it than Crawford does.
Favors him.
Now, Canelo, he has obviously the size advantage, the strength advantage, intellect. I think Crawford edges him out in IQ. I just think the weight difference is going to be the deciding factor here. I mean, like, when I seen Canelo's check hook against Berlanga, that shit was like this. You know, and Canelo's not slow either. Like, this shit was, I didn't see that coming at all. He just dropped him, and I was just like, damn, he still got it. I just think that Crawford just bit off a little more than he can chew, but if he can chew it and he beats him, which I think he can. I'm not saying he can't. I'm not saying he has 0% chance. I'm just thinking Canelo wins. But if he does, he will be my #1 fighter of all time.
Wow, I always knew that you had a lot of respect and admiration for him.
Regarding the alleged Canelo fight, Terence Crawford's head trainer, Brian Bomac McIntyre, is direct and lets everyone know precisely what's on his mind. The skeptics who are already discounting his combatant due to the size difference retaliate against him by vowing to beat his ass. Brimming with confidence, Bomac reminds everyone that he has a history of being correct, particularly in the bout with Errol Spence Jr. He has a clear message: watch and see. He is no longer interested in being incorrect.
Do you have a prediction on the fight for Canelo Alvarez?
We're gonna beat this motherfucker's ass, dog. It ain't no cakewalk. We're gonna beat his ass, so I promise you that.
And what's your message to the naysayers that Terence is too small?
Watch and see. I ain't steered you wrong yet. And I ain't in the business to start now. That shit. I tried to tell them about Spence, but they didn't want to listen. Oh, boy, I don't know what you talking about. This is that. Oh, what the motherfucking shit.
Finally, don't count Crawford out just yet, says Robert Garcia, even though a lot of people are. He breaks down why Crawford, a very strong and very smart fighter, could use his speed to his advantage against Canelo. Garcia believes that because Canelo has been fighting for one-punch knockouts recently, a fast and tactical fighter like Crawford could definitely pull off a decision.
Canelo versus Crawford, highly anticipated fight, quickly approaching.
You know, I know a lot of people are not very excited about that fight, and you know they think the size difference, huge difference. But Crawford's big, man. Crawford's a very strong fighter. He's a very smart fighter also. So look, the way Canelo's been fighting his last couple of fights, you know, where he's just, you know, looking for one punch at a time and maybe not doing enough to hurt his opponents, maybe not doing enough to finish them off. I could see Crawford pulling it off.
Decision.
I think Crawford could pull off a decision because he's fast, he's smart, and he doesn't need to run. He could stay around Canelo and just pretty much focus on winning a decision. Because I don't think he could knock out Canelo, but he could definitely win a decision.
The boxing world is buzzing with anticipation for Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford. The stakes are high, and both fighters are ready to put it all on the line. Each fighter brings their A game, with Canelo's power and experience facing off against Crawford's lightning-fast reflexes. This one's going to be a real clash of styles, and only time will tell who comes out on top.